Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSIDFS Fantasy NFL Picks. I'm your host, Megaro31. Not on camera tonight. I'm actually in Manhattan. I'm away for work for my other job. So if you hear some emergency personnel in the background, I apologize. But we have week 10. It's hard to believe we're 10 weeks in the NFL season already. And this is a decent one. 10 game slate. We got another Germany game, which could be a snoozer, Indy and New England. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But there's a showdown for that. And we'll have that covered in the FSI DFS Discord. So if you want to sign up for our package to get all the slates, not just the main ones and the showdowns that we do videos and stuff for, you can go to the description of the video and you can sign up for our package. Is very, very inexpensive, and we've got some really good results so far this season. So this slate isn't as bad as last week. I think we've got some decent matchups here. So let's start with the first one. We have the Packers and Steelers, 38.5 total. Pittsburgh favored by 3 points. This game, I really don't love a lot of it. No pun intended. Aaron Jones, coach speak, said that he would be more involved in the offense, and he was, but still not to the degree that we'd like him to be, especially if you're a season-long fantasy owner for him. I apologize to you for that. That's just not a good thing this season. And we've seen some of these pieces do well at times with Love, but it just seems like Watson and Musgrave just can't stay healthy, and it's I don't know, just the Packers are in a rebuilding phase right now, and really not much upside that I like. Maybe the Pittsburgh defense on would be in play on that side. And even on the Pittsburgh, I'm not really probably going to take Pickett on the slate. The running back situation still seems to be just too much of a time share with both of them. You never know. Wide receiver, Deontay Johnson is definitely the wide receiver one. He might not be the deep threat that Pick and home run threat that Pickens is, but I think he's really the only one worth rostering potentially in the defense. So not much for that game. Moving on to a same total with 38.5, but Baltimore's favored by 6.5 against the Browns. I think this will be a defensive matchup. It's a crucial divisional matchup for the two of them. Watson should be back. Ford seems to be getting healthier, but like that, it looks like it's a share with Hunt and Strong still in the mix there too. Mari Cooper's a little banged up. Elijah Moore we keep on waiting for. Haven't seen anything. And Njoku caught a touchdown last week, but it's a very hard matchup. So nobody in Cleveland I'm really interested in. If you want to take the Cleveland D, because it's just like a one-off because they've been so elite this season, then I think that's possible. I mean, Baltimore has done well against some really previously thought to be good defenses against Detroit and Seattle. I'm not saying that they're actually going to like completely blow the game open like they have in the other two, but I think they'll put up some points here. So I think they'll really test this Cleveland defense. Lamar, I think it's really hard to know like where this is going to go. I think, we saw like Odell Beckham Jr. start to emerge a little bit. Flowers step back a little bit. Andrews is still there. But then he runs the ball and they've run the ball. And Edwards had like the huge game 2 weeks ago, wasn't bad last week. Keaton Mitchell came out of nowhere and started running the ball, but now he might be banged up. Just too many questions here. Lamar's the only really pay up quarterback on the slate, and I get in a GPP if you want to go after him. But really, I don't think I'm touching anybody in this game in a cash consideration. But the next game here, this definitely is a juicy one for cash. 47 total. It is my second favorite one of the week. It is Houston Texans, who had an amazing week last week, and Cincinnati Bengals, 47 total. Cincinnati's favored by 6.5. So on the Texan side of it, Stroud is definitely proving that he is a decent NFL quarterback. And I know Pierce is out again. Singletary should have the bulk of the backfield, and he didn't do anything last week, and he was a chalk fail. But I think that a lot of people will be going back to him with the price tag, and this matchup's a little bit better. So he's in consideration, but I don't think he's a priority by any means. Um, with the wide receivers, Collins is out, so it means Dell becomes wide receiver one. Noah Brown had a breakout game last week, so I think he's definitely in the mix at 3-7. And Robert Woods should be back. He was good early in the season. He's still there lingering, but I think it's more Dell and Brown, and then Dalton Schultz is tight end. So lots of different ways to go here. On the Bengals side, Joe Burrows thinks is my favorite quarterback. On the slate, I think he would probably be who I take in cash. I see a lot of people looking for Mixon. He's just been too disappointing for me to play him in cash, but I see a lot of sites propping him up as like almost a must play in cash, and I get it. It's more for like maybe his catches and his red zone work, because it's just the one backfield situation where it's not like people are going to come in and vulture or quarterback's going to run or anything like that. So and the wide receivers are banged up. So it makes sense, but I just don't think I'm going to prioritize him cash. I'll definitely have him in some lineups in GPP, but I don't think I'll do it in cash. Jamar Chase is banged up with a back injury. A rib or something. I think it's back, a bruise or something. He should be playing, but I have to keep an eye on that. Higgins is out, so that brings Boyd into the mix too. And with Chase banged up too, Trenton Irwin, who we saw had some huge games last season, where some guys are out, should definitely move his way up to the top chart. And he's still minimum 3K. Great play, cash GPP there. And then Smith and Hudson kind of split with the tight end. Like, really don't have a complete read there. So probably not go there. And I think the Cincinnati defense might be in play. Also, just because they're cheap and they're decent, and the Texans will put up points, but if you need a punt, I think they'll be fine. Next game, we have the Titans and the Buccaneers. Tannehill might be back, but it doesn't matter because they've named Levis as a starter. The Buccaneer defense have been decent. They stop the run and really force you to pass, so that definitely puts Levis in play with Hopkins and Westbrook. Nick Westbrook, Keen might be someone to consider also at 3-4. We've tried the tight end Okonkwo so often. I just realized I come through, but he's still like almost minimum price. So someone maybe to consider in GPPs. If Levis is Henry, I just can't play him. Maybe on FanDuel, but on DK, it just doesn't catch the ball enough and just doesn't really do enough. His price has come way down, but I think he's at the kind of the end of his career, and it just doesn't work in the system. The other side, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, I think is definitely, if you're looking for a cheap quarterback, is in play. Seems to really be doing well in this offense. Becoming like a system quarterback and not doing too much, but making a play when he needs to. White had an amazing game last week, and I think that he's one that you can consider, even with like Evans and Vaughn in the backfield. I think that he's fine. Mike Edwards and Godwin, you got two wide receivers there. Like Evans seems to, even though they both had like, if you stack them with Houston last week, you really didn't get a ton of run back with them, but I think they're still in a good situation. Tennessee also is good against the run and a pass funnel defense. So you really want to target wide receivers, Evans, Godwin, and Cade Otton. The tight end might be a great play here at 3-4. I think most people will go McBride, but Otton's in the same price range, I believe, and could have just as much upside. And he caught a touchdown pass, I believe, last week. So next game, Saints and Vikings. Now pay attention to the news on this one. Derek Carr should be good and fine. Elvin Kamara has been good, but the unfortunate thing is Taysom Hill has come to become like Taysom Hill where we thought he would earlier in the season, and he's been playing wildcat, playing quarterback, playing tight end, and also like playing a goal line back and running back. So he's poached a couple of touchdowns from Kamara. So Kamara's still in a decent spot here against the Vikings and should still get some rushing work and catch some balls out of the backfield. But we'll just have to see if Hill continues to poach away from him. Olave is in a great position here. Michael Thomas got arrested and released for, I think it was a domestic violence thing. So we'll have to see if he gets suspended or if he ends up not playing, or if the team just like suspends him. So keep an eye on that, because that could open up even more for Hill, for Juwan Johnson, the tight end, and for Rashid Shaheed would be the number 2 wide receiver. And he is definitely one. He returns kicks and punts, and he's got some speed. So a lots of targets in this New Orleans side of the ball. On the Vikings side, Dobbs is going to get the start. Hall, who they thought was going to come in temporarily to replace Cousins, is got hurt, and then Dobbs came in and didn't know the playbook, didn't even know the players, and led them to an amazing comeback. It was a great game last week. Akers is out for the season now on IR with a torn Achilles, I believe. So Madison has the backfield all to himself. He hasn't been very impressive even before Cam Akers came, but again, having all the share in the backfield, I think, is worthy of potentially playing with GPP. Addison is definitely the wide receiver number 1 here. Hawkinson would be the number 2. He's banged up with the ribs. Osborne clear concussion protocol, so he should be back. So definitely this game would be number 6 out of like the stacks here, but I think there's definitely some nice targets on both sides for GPP and maybe some cash fill-ins. The San Francisco 49ers take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This has a 45.5 total, 3rd highest on the board. So my 3rd favorite game of the week. San Francisco is only favored by 3. San Francisco should have all their weapons back and be well rested. You have Purdy, McCaffrey, Mitchell should be in there. Deebo Samuel should be back. Ayuk, Kittle. So with everybody in play, it's really hard to recommend any of the plays in cash, because any of them go off, any of them could do well. I'm considering Christian McCaffrey, but are you going to pay up that much for him? It's just pretty hard to try to get to him in cash with some of the other players I want to play. Just not knowing if Samuel or Ayuk or Kittle, like who's going to be the hot hand, or if they're going to be to the point where like we need to start resting him. We're using him too much now that the other guys are healthy. So throwing like Elijah Mitchell out there. So really don't know about that. On the Jacksonville side, I think Trevor Lawrence is somebody you can definitely play in cash games if you want as your quarterback. He's been decent this season. Ridley's price has really come down. He's down to 5.6. He was up to like in the 7-8K range, but he just has really not produced. He's a deep threat. Kirk has been the one that really has benefited from Zay Jones being out, and Ingram, the tight end. But Etienne has been amazing this season. He's been doing everything you want as a running back. Yes, Tank Bigsby's there and may take a goal line carry here and there, but Etienne seems to be the guy, has the role, catches balls, does everything you need him to do. I like him in cash over some of the other people that might end up being more chalkier this week, because I like the matchup, and I like, it's a 3-point game. It has a decent total, and he just has been consistent, and that's what I look for in my cash builds. Lions and Chargers, this should be the game of the week. Shootout here, 48.5. Detroit's favored by 3. The Detroit side, Goff's definitely in play. You have both Montgomery and Gibbs in the backfield. I have no idea how that's going to work out, so I'm probably not going to touch that until I see. But you just have to figure out, like in GPPs, what's the game script going to be. If you think that it's going to be a shootout, then you want Gibbs, because Gibbs is going to be the one that has the more explosive plays. And if they're trying to catch up at any point, he should be catching balls out of the backfield. But if you think that the Lions are going to get up early and be able to hold the Chargers down, then Montgomery's going to be the hammer. So he's the one that you're going to want. St. Brown and in play. If you want to play Josh Reynolds, I get it too. He's cheap. Jameson Williams he's like the YOLO guy, because he could catch one ball for 50 yards and a touchdown, or he could go completely silent for the day. And then Laporta, the tight end, is very solid in that spot if you want to pay up. And there's not really, you don't have Kels on the slate. So just like Andrews is pretty much the only one to pay up for here. So I think and Hawkinson's up there too a little bit. So I think Laporta is definitely probably the top one if you're going to pay up. On the Charger side, Herbert's been solid this season. Detroit has a decent pass defense, but I think he's got some nice weapons here. Eckler definitely in play. Keenan Allen pretty much has a monopoly on the wide receiver position with Williams getting hurt and their third wide receiver is out. Can't think of his name on the top of my head. I apologize for that. But Quentin Johnson has stepped in to be the wide receiver 2 and only at 4-1, so he's pretty cheap. And Everett tight end might pick up some more. So lots of opportunity for scoring here. I'm probably going to go like Goff and St. Brown running back with Allen. I know that's pretty expensive, but there's enough value out there to make it work. And if you want to take a couple other pieces from this game a little cheaper, like Johnson or Reynolds or something like that, it makes a lot of sense too. Next game up is fourth favorite game of the week, 43.5 total, 1.5 spread. It's the Bird Bowl. You have the Falcons and the Cardinals. So both sides of the ball, I think, are in play here. Heineke has been definitely reinvigorated this offense. Not that they've become like a lead or anything, but they're definitely not as stale as they were earlier in the season. And I think that he should have London back. They are missing one of their wide receivers, but I wouldn't go Van Jefferson. I'd go Hodge as the wide receiver too. Jefferson's just not good. Bijan Robinson, I know he's burned so many people. His price will used to start out $9K. I mean, he was like one of the best college football players for Texas last year. And, you know, he came to the NFL and he's got some explosive talent, but it's just how they've used these running backs. They've used him and Algier and Pat. He just can't hold on to the ball. He like fumbled last week and got nowhere. So he's still in play. I can never play him in cash, but in GPP, I think he's worth a shot. And Kyle Pitts, the tight end, is starting to come into form, but Jonnu Smith has been right there with him. So I think either one could definitely be in play if you're stacking this game. And on the Cardinals side, welcome back, Kyler Murray. He has cleared his injury reserve and his leg is back, and James Conner's also back. But I don't know how they're going to. I think Conner's okay to play. They wouldn't have brought him back as off of You have like 3 weeks to bring him back, and they brought him back this week, so that must mean he's ready to go and things are good. Murray, I think they'll be more conservative with. I think they want to get him back out there, get some experience, get the rust off, so next year, you know, he can start to use his tail and run again. And I think it's going to kind of be with, you know, the ACL in the back of his head. I think they're going to make him more of a pocket passer and run when he has to versus like a run first quarterback. And that was like mostly what his upside was. So that's what we really want to look at there. So, I mean, the Falcons definitely can give up some points over to the team's passing. It was like Tennessee, I think a couple weeks ago, absolutely shredded them. So Marquise Brown and McBride would definitely be in play. And Connor can catch some balls out of the backfield. So I think you can pair some different whatever side you want and run it back with the other side. So if you want to go like Heineke and London and then run it back with Brown, that's cool. Or if you want to go like Murray and Brown and run it back with like London or Pitts or Jonnu Smith, then that makes sense too. Next game up, we have the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. 44.5 total here, 5.5 Seattle. This is my fifth favorite game because I think that you can definitely see some scoring here. It might be some rain. I mean, Seattle seems like to be cloudy and raining all the time there, but I think I watched the side Howell's in play. Wouldn't touch the running backs here again. It's a kind of a split situation, but McLaurin, Dotson, Samuel, if he's in play, is in play. Logan Thomas, there's lots of good targets. They're throwing the ball so many times. There's a lot of volume going there. So McLaurin and Dotson are probably even my favorite ones there. But Samuel's is a nice savings if he's in. On the Seattle side of it, Geno Smith is a solid quarterback, even for cash here. Walker is not run as much. He was a little banged up earlier in the week. I think he's fine. I didn't see any injury thing on him. So Um, but Zach Charbonnet is definitely starting to carve his role in. So Walker's kind of declining. I don't know if Charbonnet will eventually take over for him. So I'm not touching the running backs here, but DK Metcalf and Lockett should be healthy in play. And the Commanders are really bad at outside coverage. So that would give Metcalf definitely a huge advantage. I think Smith and Jigba is somebody that's talented too. If you want to throw him in the stack, that works. And I wouldn't really look at the tight ends here. I'd stick more to the wide receivers for that one. So Geno, Metcalf, Logan Thomas, I think is what I have recommended as the stack for that. Final game is a rematch of week 1, Cowboys and Giants. It was like, what, 42-0 there. So the Giants are down to Tommy DeVito, their third quarterback. Um, this is how bad Tommy DeVito is. He left Syracuse and went to Illinois, and it's just because he couldn't get enough playing time at Syracuse. So, and I love Syracuse. They're my hometown, my favorite team. But this football team, since McNabb left, just has not been. They've had some good seasons, but it's just been a tough road. And if DeVito couldn't get a starting spot at Syracuse, then I just don't know how he's in the NFL. Uh, so, but anyway, so he's a cross off here, and I think if you look at the Giants side, like they only have like 11 total. I think it is so low. So Barkley, I think, is the only one in play here. I don't know if I'd play any of the wide receivers. Bellinger should be like the tight end's not even there. So I mean, you just have Bellinger. There's some cheap pieces here. If you want to go YOLO, I mean, you could probably like play out like all these Giants for like nothing and stack every other like stud player that you wanted to. Um, so I'm not recommending it, but it is there. But I definitely, if anything, I like Barkley. He's got to be the only offense here. And in GPP, I think he's definitely a fine play. On the Dallas side, everything should be screaming like just stack them. But if they get up so much here, then like what's the incentive? Like they might only play like 3/4. It was like last week where if you played Lamar, like Hunley was in towards the end of the game because they were just up by so much. So, like, I just kind of fear that's going to happen. So, like, Dak is a great play. CD Lamb is a great play here. Pollard is a great play here. Even though I don't think he's had a touchdown since this Giants game. Ferguson, the tight end, is a great play here. The Dallas defense is a great play here. But I don't know if I can play any of them in cash because I just fear they don't play the full game. I will definitely play them in GPPs. I will definitely have some shares and build a game script where they get up early and maybe I play Pollard and Dowdle. Thinking that Pollard gets enough in the 3/4 and then Dowdle is just the hammer at the end and just the yardage adds up and maybe gets a garbage time touchdown and just pair him with the Dallas defense, and then that 4.3 price tag instantly pays itself off there. So not a game I really like stacking. It should be. We'll see what happens here, but I just think that the Giants are so much worse than they were when they started in week 1, and we saw what happened then. So I just really kind of fear for what happens in this game for DFS perspective. So just run through the board quick here. Like I said, high quarterbacks. I like Dak, Herbert, and CJ Stroud. Medium, Burrow, probably my favorite one there. Dak. Oh, Dak's on there twice. I don't know how that happened. Let's see if there's a quarterback to replace Dak. Yeah, have Goff's on there. We could put Lawrence there. Sorry about that. And then cheap Geno, really like him in the matchup. Heineke, Howell. I'm fading DeVito, Watson, and Love. Jones is out and Howell is out. For running backs, if you can get to CMC, great. Again, with all the weapons there, I just kind of fear what's going to happen. And I might get some rest because had his usage has been insane with all the injuries. Eckler, Barkley, and GPP, and Kamara, although he might get some of his goal line things still poached by Hill. Medium range, Pollard, I think he's going to be the highest owned running back on the slate just in the matchup. But again, I just kind of fear he doesn't get 4 quarters worth. Can you get there in 3? I don't know if I can do that in cash. I like NTN. I think he's just as good a play as Pollard in his matchup. Walker is out there, but again, I just kind of fear that just be careful with him. It seems like his role might be declining. And then Mixon, again, I don't really like his matchup or trust him in cash. I know he's going to be highly recommended by a lot of people in cash, and I get it. Like I said, he should have the volume there, and he should have the goal line opportunities, but and catch some balls. So I'll let you make the choice there. I do like White as a cheap back. Bijan Robinson for Atlanta. Like, he's got the talent there. It's going to happen sometime. Singletary burned everybody last week. This might be a chance to go back in a better matchup and see if he can do better there. And I'm fading Jones. I'm fading Henry Edwards just because Cleveland's got a really good defense and Lamar's running the ball. That rookie's running the ball. Like, it's just, I know he's had a couple of really good games, but this just seems like a matchup that's really scary. And then Connor should be good coming back, but I'm definitely interested in GPP, but I just don't think I can do it in cash. Wide receivers, I think Allen is the top one here. He's got the complete share, and he's going to have to be productive in that shootout. St. Brown is healthy and definitely has the target volume. Chase would probably be the top one if he's 100% healthy, but just a little bit apprehensive with the injury. And then Lamb, again, I just fear the blowout with him. Olave, I really like him here in the top of the 6K range. It's a great matchup for him. Plus, if Malcolm Thomas is not there, that definitely should help open up. Also, Metcalf just has a great matchup against a team that really can't cover wide receivers that run routes like he does and are giving up a lot of points to him. Hopkins is against a pass funnel and has done well with the new quarterback. And then Kirk, I think for Jaguars has been solid this season also. Dell, love him here, especially in a great matchup with Collins out, become wide receiver number 1. Marquise Brown should get some passes, and he's got an upgrade with quarterback now. Ridley, his price has really come down for Jacksonville. And again, I know it's against a tough San Francisco defense, but if they're behind, he might be relied upon to try to get him back in the game. DeJounte Johnson's getting the volume. And then sub 5K, you got a guy like Boyd there with Higgins out and Chase banged up. Noah Brown gets the opportunity with Collins, and he had a breakout last week. Samuel on Washington has a good matchup. And then Irwin is dirt cheap. I think he's bare minimum and in a great spot to fill in for Cincinnati. Tight ends, Laporta, Hawkinson, Andrews, and Hill are the pay-ups. I like Hill probably the most out of them, but he's really hard to get to on FanDuel. And then Laporta is also in a solid matchup there too. If you can fit Hawkinson and Andrews in GPP, I think that's fine. Ingram's good in the middle range. So is Schultz, especially if you're playing strategy quarterback, and Ferguson. But again, I just fear the blowout there. McBride, I think most people are going to go to, and I completely get it. Has been solid. And I think, if we're looking at the Arizona quarterback coming back in Murray and being like one that's trying to be a pocket passer, he might be a great way to try to get the ball out to and some volume. It seems like they've been keeping him involved in the offense. Logan Thomas and Pitts are in decent situations also. And then Otten, like I said, he makes a lot of sense in Tampa Bay, where they're going to be able to pass the ball against a defense that encourages them to. And then if you want to take a shot on Okulu in another good passing matchup, and maybe he finally emerges, or Deshaun Johnson for New Orleans, or Juwan Johnson for New Orleans, because if they're going to be shorthanded with Michael Thomas, then he might be in play there. Defenses, Arizona and Cincinnati, I think, are your best buys. If you want to pay up, Dallas and Baltimore are the ones. Punt, Houston and New Orleans. Detroit and Pittsburgh are in play, and they're not playing the Chargers or the Giants. And the stacks there, I've already talked to them through, and you can read them over here for the game stack. So let's look at the builds. So for cash, I'm going to take Burrow as my quarterback, Etienne as my running back. If you want to go mix in there, if you want to go Pollard there, I think they're going to be the popular fill-ins. I also like White, Chase and Dell wide receivers, and then figure out who fits in for your final one. Hawkinson and McBride are my recommendations for tight ends. You can play one of the two in your flex if you want to, and Arizona is the defense that fit my build. GPP going to take Goff, Pollard, and again, here's a shot to take like on Mixon or Barkley or Kamara or somebody, or Bijan Robinson, somebody, or even Singletary, save some money. Just it's a GPP. St. Brown and Irwin, who's like dirt cheap. And then Hill or Laporta at tight end, or both if you like them. Just put the other one flex, and then Dallas defense. For FanDuel, it's pretty much cash build is close. Burrow, Etienne, Chase, Dell, McBride, I have to go with, and Tampa Bay defense is what makes sense there. And for GPP, I'm going with Geno Smith, Pollard, Metcalf, running back with McLaurin or Dotson. Hill is very expensive. I'm going to try to force him into my tight end spot because I think he's got a lot of upside in the Dallas defense. So what I got for you. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat below or hit me up at MegaRuler31 on X, formerly Twitter. And again, if you want more information on FSI DFS, you can go to our description of the video, and it'll give you all the information on how to get in there. PGA is going to be free for the rest of the season. There's 2 tournaments left, so check out our Twitter for information, or X. Sorry, I just can't get that changed, for information on that. And if these videos help you, please help us back, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you next time.